Hi, I'm Joseph Phillips. I'm the Director of Education at Instructing.com, and I'm the author of several books on project management. You want to pass the CAPM, so you need to know what will you be tested on and what are the requirements in order to qualify for the CAPM. Well, don't worry, it's pretty easy to qualify. In this video, I want to walk you through how you prepare to pass the CAPM, the qualifications, what you can expect on the exam, and then what do you do after the exam other than celebrate. Let's take a look now. The CAPM requirements, you'll need a high school diploma or better and 23 contact hours of project management education. Now, my classes on Instructing.com will help you prepare to pass the CAPM exam. So if you are enrolled in my CAPM exam prep seminar, you're in good shape. So those are the basic requirements that you need. You'll also have to complete an application to prove or to document anyway your project management education. And you'll do this at pmi.org. So you'll sign up at pmi.org. You have 90 days to complete that application online. So you can start it and stop it, but it's pretty easy to complete. Once you submit that application, usually within 10 to 14 days, you'll receive an authorization to test letter that you'll be approved, or you'll have an audit. Now, audits are completely random. There's nothing you can do to trigger an audit. An audit is just PMI making you confirm to show evidence of your education as part of the qualification process. So you have 90 days to complete the audit. If you are audited, that you're not automatically audited. It's a percentage and it's random. So there's no keywords or triggers there. Once you're approved for the exam, you have 1 year to complete the exam. Do not take a year. I have met many people that because of fear or dread or procrastination, they've let that 1 year window expire and you have to start all over. So don't do that. Get your application in, get approved, get this done, and then get on with your life. No sense in dragging it out. Now, there are some fees involved for the CAPM exam that when you submit your application, you'll have to pay these fees. If you are a PMI member, it's $225. If you are not a PMI member, it's $300. Well, I encourage you to join PMI. There's a lot of good benefits that you'll receive if you join PMI. So the cost of joining PMI is $139 a year. The first time you join, though, there's a $10 registration fee, whatever that is. So just count on, having to pay a little bit extra that first year. But it's worth it to join PMI. They have a lot of great information, networking events, get involved with your local PMI chapter. Great place to do networking if you're looking for a project management job. After the exam, you have maintenance requirements. So it's very simple. You pass the CAPM. Every 3-year cycle, you have to document that you've had 15 PDUs, professional development units. You can get these by taking project management classes, going to your local PMI chapter, even working as a project manager. There's a whole different bunch of ways, lots and lots of ways of earning PDUs. Just hop out to pmi.org and you can download a PDU handbook that will show you all the different ways on how you can claim a PDU. It's actually pretty easy to do. Now, the exam itself, all right, so you're qualified, you're ready to get in and pass the exam. So what are you going to expect? There are 150 test questions. However, 15 of those are what PMI calls a pre-test question. It's not a pre-test question for you. It's not the first 15 questions of your test. These are like seeded questions. They're sprinkled all in among the total 150. And these are scored by PMI. They don't count towards your passing score, but they're scored by PMI to see how the group of project managers answer these test questions. And so if there are, for example, there's a test question and everybody gets that test question correct, it's too easy. If everybody gets it hard and they miss it, then that does not count, and that one's too hard. So these are pre-tests for future CAPM candidates. So you're kind of a guinea pig here of these pre-test questions to sample them out. You won't know if you're answering a live test question or a pre-test question. So you have to answer all questions with the same amount of effort and diligence. You will have 3 hours to complete the exam. Should be plenty of time, but you have 3 hours to complete the exam. If you're taking the exam at home or in your office online, no breaks are allowed. You have to stay there in front of your webcam and be visible at all time. You can't take a little break. Now, if you go take it at a testing center, you can leave the testing center room and use one of their restrooms, their facilities, but the timer will keep going on your exam. I personally would prefer the testing center because I've heard a lot of stories about what it's like to take an online test and how the proctoring software and the video and just the requirements of what you have to clear out of your room or office are pretty steep. So just be aware of that. It's just a little bit more anxiety that I don't think you need. And I can't sit still for 3 hours, so I need to take a break every now and then. When you go to the exam testing center, you can't take anything into the actual testing room. They will give you, once you're into the room, they'll give you 6 sheets of paper, or more likely, they give you a little dry erase whiteboard that you can sketch out your formulas or notes or whatever you want. The questions are based on PMI titles. So this is what gets a lot of people. As you know, we've had a big shift from PMBOK 6 to PMBOK 7. So there was a bit of an overlap between these two titles. And so everyone, not you, but a lot of people, a lot of anxiety, kind of flipped out over what do I study, 6 or 7, or what do I do? So it's been kind of a lot of confusion in the CAPM world and even the PMP world as to which one do I study. Well, here is the truth that I say this every day. Your exam is not based on just one book. Your exam is not based on just the PMBOK guide. There are many books that your exam is based on. PMI tells us there are a lot of different titles, not just the PMBOK guide, that your exam questions stem from. In fact, every test question on the exam has to be supported by at least 2 sources. So it may be PMBOK 7 and it may be one of these other titles. So like the process book or the agile handbook. So there's a lot of different sources. The PMBOK Guide 7 is not a study guide. It is not training you to prepare to pass. Don't get hung up on PMBOK 6 or 7 or which title. It's not how the exam works. What you really want to look at is the exam content outline, which you can download from PMI.org. And I say this every day of my life for the past year, at least once in an email, because there is so much confusion about what it takes to pass. And just go get the exam content outline. Go to PMI.org and download the exam content outline. It's what you need. It'll show you exactly what you're tested on. I'm going to walk through it here, but always go check. So the exam content outline is what you need. Now, the timer in your software, once you sit down and you sign in, You can't write anything down on a piece of paper or your whiteboard. You can't do any of that until the timer begins for your exam. Then you can start writing out your notes. A lot of people are a fan of doing a brain dump. And in years past, you could use this pre-test tutorial. It was like a 15-minute how to use our software to take that time and write down all of your notes. Well, that's no longer allowed. You now have to start the timer, start the exam, and then you can write out any of your notes. So just be aware of that. The exam software itself is actually very easy to use. Forwards, backwards, you can mark questions, strike out answers. You'll see some drag and drop. They even have some like cartoon strips to figure out what's going on. But it's actually very easy to use. If you have some anxiety about it, there is a pre-exam tutorial that when you log in, you can take this little tutorial that will show you how to use all the features, how to mark questions for review, how to go backwards and forwards. But it's actually pretty logical to use. As I mentioned, the exam content outline. This is what your exam is based on. Cannot stress this enough. If you want to pass the CAPM, and I know you do, go to PMI and download the exam content outline. So important to do this. Don't skip it. Go get this little PDF document and read it. It's so important. So do yourself a huge favor. So what's in the ECO? Okay, here are the headlines, what you're going to see on your exam. There are 4 domains of what you'll be tested on. First off, you have your fundamentals and core concepts, just the basics of project management. That's 36% of your exam. Domain 2 is about predictive project management, so more of a waterfall approach. That is worth just 17%, and that's 25 questions. Domain 3 is about agile, so lean, Scrum, Kanban, XP. You need to know about that business, and that's worth 20% of your exam. And then brand new to the CAPM, never seen this before. This has really thrown a lot of people for a loop, so don't be surprised by this. But there is now a lot, about 40 questions on business analysis frameworks. You have to understand the BA role. Sometimes as a project manager, you're working as the BA role, or you're working with a BA, or a lot of CAPM candidates have served prior as a BA. Whatever the logic is, on your exam, even if you've never worked as a BA, you're going to have about 40 questions on business analysis. So take some time and really brush up on the business analysis role. So important for your exam. Now, the fundamentals of project management, that's really what we're talking about here, is what do you do as a project manager? What are the expectations, the roles and responsibilities of a project manager? You have to understand the project management environment and understand project integration management, which is a way of saying that what you do in one area of the project affects other areas of the project. So they are interrelated, they are integrated. You'll have a lot of questions on your 5 key components of project management, which of course is scope, time, cost, quality, and resource. But you're still going to have information or questions on other knowledge areas. So you're still going to have to answer questions about procurement. So that one gets a lot of people. Contracting, communication, stakeholder, risk management, all of those knowledge areas that were so prevalent in past editions of the PMBOK guide that you do not see in PMBOK 7. That gets a lot of people. So you want to take some time, make certain you understand all of the moving parts, something of course that I'll cover in the CAPM exam prep seminar. So as I mentioned, the CAPM and the PMBOK guide, They are somewhat related. The exam content outline tells us PMBOK Guide 7, but it also shows us all of these other books that your exam is based on, not just the PMBOK Guide. So there's PMI Standards Plus, which is part of PMI's online education, and really it's more like an online resource. The PMI Guide to Business Analysis, the BA for Practitioners, the Agile Practice Guide, the Project Manager Answer Book, and then we have Effective Project Management, Traditional, Agile, Extreme, Hybrid. So these are all resources that you'll be tested on. Do you want to read all of these? No, but it's just the point here that it's not just the PMBOK Guide. Get that all the time. And I don't want you to miss this, that you're tested on more than one resource. So important. You might get audited. I get a lot of questions about auditing and what do you have to give PMI if you get audited. Audits are completely random. You can't avoid an audit. There's no keyword or profile. If you work for this company, we're going to audit you. It's just a random selection. I've met hundreds of people that have been audited. They'll give you a little checklist. For your CAPM, it's going to be show us your high school diploma or better, and show us a certificate of completion from your class that you completed, which of course, in the exam prep seminar, we give you a certificate of completion that you'll show to PMI if you are audited. Had hundreds of people, it's not a big deal, so don't lose sleep over an audit, but I get a lot of questions about the audit. After the CAPM, of course, you're going to celebrate. Set a goal, set a reward for that goal. So your goal is to pass the CAPM exam, which you can do this, and then give yourself a reward, a really nice dinner out, a vacation, a long weekend away, a new whatever. So celebrate your success. Set a goal to work towards. You can't have it until you pass. And then share your story. I'd love for you to come back in here or on this video and share your story and encourage other people. And I'm hoping that other people on this video have shared with you their story and their success to encourage you. As you're going to find throughout my courses, I like to keep a PMA, that positive mental attitude. And that if other people have done this, you can do it too. So you want to share your story. And then I encourage people to move forward, not backwards. I say keep moving forwards. So what do I mean by that, not backwards? Don't let your certification expire. Get those PDUs, 15 every 3 years, very easy to do. But also think about next steps in your career, next certifications or credentials that you would like to work towards, like the PMP or the ACP or the Scrum Master or Project Plus or whatever interests you. This is one stepping stone in your career. So keep moving forward. If other people have done it, you can do it too. So that is the big picture of what you can expect as you prepare to pass your CAPM. You can do this. All right, I'll see you in the course. Keep moving forward.